All right, let's talk about it. We're in it. So, Sheduer Sanders, QB from Colorado, has completely dropped. Excuse me, my voice is leaving me because it's completely dropped off basically every NFL board for the first 3 rounds. He did not get drafted at all, which came as a surprise and shock to all the experts and everything covering this draft. This is my take on it as far as just that the aspect of him not being drafted. I'll break it down a little bit more as to what I think why he wasn't drafted. But one, you didn't have that many teams this year that like wholeheartedly needed a quarterback, that were thirsting for one, that needed one. I'm not saying that there's teams out there that should take a chance. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, like, there's some that are sitting there going, well, you know what? We're kind of good with what we have. And you have to remember Matt Ryan and even Aaron Rodgers, on some level, is still out there that some of these teams can go after. Um, so the QB aspect of it this year was just not on the high level that it was. Cam Ward went first, which even I still, the jury's out for me on Cam Ward being a good quarterback. But quarterback just wasn't a necessity this year. And the thing going into this year is that next year, the 2026 crop of QBs are supposed to be better, and you're going to see more of them go off the board in the first round than in the past couple years. Um, and I know there's people out there that have like their strong opinions as to what is actually going on, but this will be my take on this whole thing. One, he was just an average quarterback at Colorado. And I know right then and there people are just flipping out, throwing their Cheetos in the air and dropping their Mountain Dew on their couch. But he was just average. He played at Colorado. That conference that he played in, not that good. The defenses that he played against, not that good. And he went 12-13 as a starting quarterback. Now say what you will, well, quarterback or Colorado didn't have the players needed. Did it? I mean, that's fair, but at the same time, everybody was hyping that hype train up for the longest time when he was there in Colorado. Um, and there's teams that have less. I mean, look at Vanderbilt last year in the SEC, for Christ's sakes, played better than Colorado. He's he put up statistics. People go, well, look at the touchdowns, look at the yards. Well, that's true, but he was also sacked the most. He also had the most negative plays, I think, as a QB as far as yards lost, and his decision making at time was not the best. So, I mean, just because somebody has crazy receiving yards and TDs, that doesn't translate that they're a good quarterback. I mean, you could go down to Division II school and throw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns one year, and then get drafted and show up in the league, and then you're just getting picked left and right, or you're not hitting receivers like you should, or you're not figuring out the defense like you should, and you never see the field again. I mean, that's happened many times through the years. So those stats can be deceiving. As great as they might be for a college player, they're not always the truth. It's like half the story. Now, I know some people are questioning some of the QBs that were taken before him, Dart and the kid from Louisville. I mean, that is what it is. You can say what you want in those situations, but the NFL is weird like that. Like teams will focus in on a certain player and decide that's their guy, that's who I want to go after, that's our person, and they'll put blinders on and not look at anybody else, even though they should. So a lot of times you have that, and a lot of times those are the teams that continuously are looking for quarterbacks or continuously looking for coaches or GMs because they don't take the blinders off. They just get so focused on players that they like. So you have a little bit of that going. But let's talk. So one, that's the one of the reasons. Let's put it like this. No, the one reason that I think he didn't get drafted in the first 3 rounds is the NFL teams just do not think he's that good of a player. And again, That might make you toss your Cheetos and spill your Mountain Dew, but that's where the NFL sits with it. And the NFL is where they are, good or bad. That's just how they feel he's not good enough for the first 3 rounds. They don't feel that he's a good enough quarterback. Um, and you can hate him or you can applaud him for that. That's how they've been wrong about things. They've been right about things. But when it comes to jobs being on the line, you're not going to have teams take a chance on a player that they're not sure on or that they have questions on. Has it happened in the past? It has. And a majority of the time, those players don't develop into anything, and then the coaches and the GMs lose their jobs. And in the last 10 years, you're seeing a real transition towards we have to be better with how we're picking our players. We can't go on these just grandioso picks and then they end up being bust after 2 years. It doesn't end well. You can't get away with it anymore, especially in a league where you may get 3 years at the head coaching position before you're fired, unless you're Mike McCarthy in Dallas and they just keep you on forever. Um, so yeah, number one, the NFL just doesn't think he's a good enough quarterback. Number two, man, he I don't know if I can't remember if he was invited to the combine, but he didn't go to the combine. He didn't do anything on his pro day. I can't quite. I think he was a senior at Colorado. He didn't play in the Senior Bowl. So all these things that he could have done to help his draft stock, he didn't do because he felt he was that good. He was, oh, I don't need to do that. That's beneath me. I'm so great. Da, 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 da. That also translates bad to the NFL. If you're at least not going to play in the Senior Bowl, show up for the combine or at least your pro day. So the NFL scouts can go, okay, we can at least get a look, we can understand, and they can go, okay, at least he did that, we got that, check that off. But he didn't do any of that, and then he continuously kept saying he's the best quarterback in in the in the draft. So those two combined, I mean, you can almost combine those together, are probably reasons why. Um, Also, I mean, he could have just flat out failed his interviews with these teams or just given a vibe that they just didn't care for. I mean, dude, he's a self-assured cocky dude. I mean, he gets that from his dad, which that's fine. I mean, I don't have a problem with that, but when you go into these head offices and you're meeting with GMs and head coaches and you still portray that cocky attitude that you do on TV or you do in the commercials or you do wherever, a lot of these GMs and coaches don't care for that, especially when you only went 12 and 13 in your college career. I mean, it starts to become tiring. Um, his dad got away with it because his dad was an outstanding ball player in college and when he went into the pros. He hasn't been outstanding in college. He's been a fair college player. So yeah, maybe he just rubbed people wrong, and maybe the teams that would have taken a chance on him, like the Browns, like the Raiders, like the Seahawks, or whoever else took a QB. Maybe he just didn't hit it off well in the interviews. I mean, that's a possibility. Um, I've seen people that are like saying that there's possible collusion in this in the NFL as far as taking it out against his dad or taking it out against him and how I don't think there's any collusion. I really don't think there's any collusion. There's too many people talk. Too many people, especially these days. Everybody has sources. Everybody tells secrets on everybody. That would have came out at some point that teams are looking to collude against them. It just would have come out. So for those people that automatically go to it's a race issue, it's collusion, it's this or that. Hey man, that's just small-minded thought. I mean, you have to let your emotions of you actually liking a player or you loving a player or you looking up to a player, you have to move your emotions from that and put yourself in the the chair of being a GM or a head coach or an owner of a team and what you're trying to do, $1 billion organization that you're going to put money into a player to either be your quarterback, your running back, wide receiver, or whatever. And you have to understand it's a different level. if you want to continue with the collusion, the race thing, or they're taking out against his dad or whatever it may be, you're going to be disappointed your whole life because everything's going to be that way to you. I don't think it's anything of that material. Um, I did see like Chad Johnson brought something about up. He said, I can't wait for the nightcap because this is insane. Nobody is telling me the truth on why is this being done. And of course, you go straight to the comments, and everybody's like straight up saying this is collusion. It's the biggest thing. He's the best this and the best that. Another Colin Kaepernick. I mean, what the hell are we talking about here? Only whites can act like Archie Manning apparently and have to have a say what happens to their children. You're not allowed to be confident. Black, talking black person today. Again, I don't think it has anything to do with that. Now, do I think teams are a little worried about Dion being in his son's ear? Yeah. I think Dion is more of a hindrance to his kids than he is helpful because Dion loves to talk, and Dion will get out there and say things that normally you wouldn't say or shouldn't say, especially about the NFL or college or whatever. And because that's who Dion is. That's who Dion's always been. I mean, that's just how he is. He's all talk. He's always going to say it, whether he's right or wrong. He's gonna say and do it. So yeah, you got some teams that are probably sitting there going, well, hey man, if he comes here, we also have to deal with his dad, in his ear saying, well, don't listen to this coach or don't listen. They don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, and that's a problem. That's where Dion needs to really take a step back and just say, hey, look, once my kid gets there, that's on him. I'm not going to be telling him anything or how to handle the situation or this or that. So, I mean, could there be a possibility of that? Yeah, of course. I wouldn't take that away from it. To say it's a white and black thing, I wouldn't say that either. Archie Manning didn't want his son to go, I think it was to the Chargers, because I don't think Archie liked the GM or the coach that was at the Chargers at the time. It didn't have anything to do with him, was going to be in his kid's ears saying, this is what we have to do once you get there. This is what you have to do afterwards or whatever. I just think they didn't like the Chargers organization because let's be honest, the Chargers, for people that don't know, besides that Super Bowl that they went to, I think in 95 or 96, the Chargers were a garbage organization for the longest time. They just straight trash. And I think Archie didn't want his kid going to the Chargers because he knew that they were garbage. So that is what it is. Yeah, I mean, Dion made that point. He said, if there's teams that I don't want my kid to go to, we're not going to go to it. You say that, that's going to scare teams off. Again, that's where you become a hindrance. I get that Dion's looking out for his son and wants the best for him, but at the same time, sometimes as a father, you just got to shut the hell up and let the things fall where they may, and then help your kid from that point on. Um, but collusion and the race thing, no. Um, Yeah, see, like this dude, he believes it's a conspiracy by the NFL. Can't tell him otherwise. Again, if you're one of these conspiracy people, you're small-minded. I'm sorry. It's just, unless you find indefinite proof, and unless you can sit there and go, "Yep, this is actually happening," it's not. And all these people going, "Oh, well, the best conspiracies always end up true." That's not true. There are millions of conspiracies out there, and there's only been a small percentage that ended up being true. And to be honest with you, they weren't actually conspiracies. They were stuff that has been rumored or known for years and years and years at a time. It's just nobody paid attention to it. But conspiracies as a whole, they're just full of shit and they're full of garbage and they rot your damn brain if you sit there and worry about them too much. I mean, look at some other videos with some of the people that talk about conspiracies and you'll see your IQ drop from what they believe in. Um, Yeah, see, teams aren't obligated to like a player. Last I checked, Tom Brady was drafted in the sixth round. Was that a coup? Sheduer will get drafted as he should. He'll just have the opportunity to prove it. Um, yeah, I mean, again, teams fall in love with certain players, And sometimes those aren't the best players. And sometimes those players end up having no career or being bust in the league. And that falls on the GM and the head coach and whatever. But you will have teams that'll fall in love because they have a good interview with a player, or they see something that maybe somebody else doesn't see, or they ignore what other teams do see. That's just part of the game. That's just part of the league. Obviously, more teams than none see or recognize something with Sheduer that is not hitting with them to the point that they don't think they should spend a top three, excuse me, a first to third round pick on him. Yeah, could it be he's just isn't that good? That is a possibility. He could just not be that good. This kid's draft room has 20 hats, not 32. His dad and him tell the NFL they'll be lucky to have him versus saying playing in the NFL is a privilege. He didn't go to the East or West Shrine Bowl. He didn't go to the Combine. No, yeah. So again, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to say that this is race related and this is just conspiracy theorists and all that nonsense. At the end of the day, he had his moments to solidify himself as a top 10 pick as far as doing the combine or even just going to the East West Shrine Bowl and just playing a series or two. Or if he was, if he was invited to the draft or to the combine, going to it, and he said no to any of those, and then he just went on his social media. That's the other thing. The third thing is his off the field foolishness is probably scaring a lot of teams away right now. Look at the world we're living in right now with the social media. Social media causes more problems than it helps. The only people that it helps are the ones that are on there, doing things for like charity or promoting things like business wise that they do, or are just like joking around, making fun of themselves. The ones that sit there and hype up themselves and show this, grandiose life or whatever, that doesn't really hit, and it causes more problems. And look, you got Shannon Sharp caught up with stuff, and he's putting it all out on social media, putting himself and ESPN in a position. You've had other celebrities and other players that have been getting vocal on social media, and then things come out about them later. The skeletons come out of the closet of some of the heinous stuff they've done in their private life. And you have to think that maybe his off the field stuff also play into this. The stupid cockiness that he does on there, the foolish stuff he comes on there, the not representing himself as focused on football. It's focused on other things, and maybe that's scaring some teams off. And maybe in the interviews when they threw up defenses for him to figure out, maybe he failed that. Maybe he couldn't figure out a defense. Again, the defenses that he played against out there in what were they in? They're in the Big 12, Big 10, Big 12. That they maybe Texas Tech had the strongest defense. I mean, and that's saying a lot if you're saying Texas Tech has the best defense. And he was struggling at times against them, against that conference, and again went 12-13. I mean, sometimes I think people get caught up in the hype of the situation that they ignore the actual truth. Like, let me put it this way. Again, I'm from Tallahassee. I'm a big Florida State. That's my team. Jameis Winston was one of the best quarterbacks we had at Florida State, but he threw too many interceptions. He threw too many interceptions when he was here at Florida State. And that was one of the things going in with him. And I'm a Tampa Bay Bucks fan. They drafted him number 1. I was excited. I was like, great, that's awesome. But at the same time, I was like, if he doesn't get his interception problem under control, it's going to be an issue. And my thought was like, Winston needed a coach that was more hands-on, more would cuff him down and say, look, this is the way we're running the offense. This is the way we do it. Hit your receivers that are here. Take your chances from time to time, but not all the time, but limit the turnovers. But he went to coaches that were just, screw it, fling it and hit it. So his first couple years in the league, he was just told to launch back and throw it, and that's all Winston did. And so he fell back on that, just flinging it, and when that led to bad decisions, and now he is where he is. He's a backup, and I love Jameis Winston. I love his attitude. I love his upbeat, but he's never going to be a starter, a full time starter, or take over a team again unless he in himself realizes that he just can't drop back and sling it because that's just not how it is. Um, but see, I recognize that as a fan. I was glad my team got him, but at the same time, I knew, hey, if he didn't get it under control, this will be interesting. And he ended up, Tampa let him go, and they picked up Tom Brady, and they won the Super Bowl and so on. And now they have another quarterback down there, and they're doing their thing. And Winston is a journeyman backup. And I think that's what these fans of Sheduer have to do is people just jump so in and get so focused and they buy into the hype and they buy into the BS. They put the blinders on and they don't see a player for what he actually is. And then when they're told the truth, like, no, he's just not that good, the only response is to say, oh, it's a conspiracy theory, it's racist, they hate his dad, they hate this and they hate it. And it's not any of that. It's so easy to go after low hanging fruit instead of stepping back and going, well, wait, let's check and see, and then realize that somebody's just probably not a good player or somebody's just not a good person. And I mean, I wish I wish you better in your life that figure this stuff out and you can sit back and see this stuff. But I think unfortunately you just have a lot of people out there that they want to live in that world where they buy into the hype and they just snort that BS and enjoy it. And it's just easier to get mad and yell at things instead of realize that maybe somebody's just not that good. But hey, give me your thoughts. Tell me how I'm wrong if I'm wrong. But me and 32 other football teams don't think so. Hey, but anyways, man. Hey, like and subscribe. I keep forgetting to say that. Like and subscribe. But hey, find out good earth and dig it and get outside this weekend. All right. All right.